Discover the heartwarming moment a billionaire helps a struggling girl in need an amazing transformation. Emma stared out the kitchen window at the crisp morning air, her heart heavy and her mind racing. The loss of her father had thrust her into a whirlwind of responsibilities, leaving her to pick up the pieces of her family's shattered world. At 16, she already worked 2 part-time jobs, delivering newspapers before dawn and tending the local diner in the evenings. Her mother, once full of life, now seemed like a shadow of herself, burdened by sorrow and fatigue. Emma had dreams of college, a vision of what could bring her family out of the darkness. But the weight of financial hardship felt like a heavy stone around her neck. As she folded the newspapers into neat little bundles, whispers filled the air. Rumors swirled around town about a mysterious figure, a reclusive billionaire named Jake who had returned after years away. The townspeople gossiped with both excitement and disdain. What could a man like him know about their struggles? Emma shook her head at the thought, resentment brewing within her. Someone with wealth couldn't possibly understand their plight. And yet, curiosity flickered in her chest, igniting a longing for a diversion from her tiring routine. One fateful morning, while riding her bike on her usual paper route, she spotted him, Jake, tall and imposing against the faded backdrop of the town square. Surrounded by a thick air of mystery, he was reminiscent of a character from a storybook, and yet his presence felt achingly real. An odd feeling swelling in Emma's chest compelled her to slow down, to see the man who had become the subject of so many whispers. Their eyes met, and a flash of recognition passed between them, though neither knew what to make of it. "Are you lost?" she blurted out, startled by her boldness. Jake looked taken aback, his eyes narrowing slightly. They stood there, 2 strangers, caught in a moment that felt charged with unspoken emotion. "No, just visiting," he replied, his voice low and gravelly. Their conversation unfolded like a slow-motion scene, punctuated by the quiet hum of the town waking up around them. As they spoke about family, responsibility, and the struggles that confronted them both, Emma felt her defenses lowering. She began to glimpse a man who understood the burden of loyalty, who fought for his family from an unexpected angle. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As word of their encounter spread through the town like wildfire, whispers filled the air. Doubts about Jake's intentions morphed into allegations of him being a wealthy outsider attempting to exploit their local girl. Emma felt the heat of their judgment. The once comforting haven of her hometown now felt like a cage. Then, Jake approached her with a proposition, an offer of support for her education that could provide them both a way out, and Emma was torn between pride and opportunity. Tension mounted as Emma prepared for a public discussion, grappling not only with her dreams, but the community's expectations. Would accepting Jake's help betray everything she had fought for? As she stood at the crossroads, the choices before her sparked a profound dilemma. The taste of hope mingled with tangy fear, an intangible fork in the road that could either bridge their worlds or deepen the divide. Emma knew that in the whirlwind of her dreams and the weight of her family's struggles, her decision could change everything, perhaps bringing unity or causing deeper rifts. Would she lean on someone else's aid or rise against the tide of adversity once more? Emma spent the next few days in a haze of conflicting emotions. The mornings blurred into afternoons, filled with the same monotonous routine. After delivering papers, she would head to the diner, where she took orders with a smile, but her heart wasn't in it. Every splash of coffee and every plate handed to customers felt like she was living in a world that she could no longer touch. Jake's offer haunted her thoughts, weaving itself into her dreams. What would it mean to accept help from someone like him? The town had set the stage with gossip, and Emma felt every piercing gaze, every whispered comment in the diner, and the quiet judgment from friends now turned skeptics. Her heart raced when she thought about standing in front of the community, poised to speak about something that should have been an easy choice. The day of the town meeting arrived. Emma paced back and forth in her room, rehearsing her speech beneath her breath. Her mother caught her pacing and sat on the edge of Emma's bed, a frown etched on her face. "You don't have to do this, Emma. You've worked so hard. We can figure something out." Emma sighed, her heart aching for her mother's approval. "But Mom, this could be my chance. I need to make things better for us." Her burning desire to change her family's fate clashed with the fear of judgment and the unknown. What would accepting Jake's help truly mean for them? The community center buzzed as the meeting filled with familiar faces. Emma could feel the weight of expectations pressing down on her. The townspeople began to murmur as she stepped up to the podium. Their eyes were sharp, scrutinizing her every move. She took a deep breath, her heart pounding against her ribcage. "Thank you all for being here," she began, her voice steady despite her nerves. "I know there are many opinions about Jake, but I've had the chance to get to know him. He's not just a billionaire. He's someone who understands family struggles." Murmurs rippled through the crowd, like electricity crackling in the air. Trying to hold on to her train of thought, Emma pressed on. "He offered to support my education. This isn't just about me. It's about giving my family a chance to heal, to dream again. I can't promise things will change overnight, but I believe in hope." As she spoke, her voice grew stronger, carrying the weight of her honesty. Emma recalled her father's dreams, how he would always say that education was the key. The energy in the room shifted. The gossip receded, replaced by a palpable tension of curiosity. But then, just as she began to feel the air lift around her, a familiar voice cut through. "And what if he's just playing with you? What if his help comes with strings attached?" It was Sarah, a girl she thought was her friend. The room fell silent, all eyes now on Emma like a spotlight narrowing down. Emma's heart sank, the fragile thread of courage she built fraying rapidly. Was there truth in Sarah's words? Would Jake's help ultimately unravel her sense of self-worth? Yet, as doubt crept in, a firm resolve sparked within her. She looked around the room, friends and neighbors, people who had seen her struggle, who had shared her pain. "I need to think about this for myself," she finally said, a note of defiance in her voice. "But I want this to be a conversation, not just a judgment." The murmurings became more palpable. A flicker of respect began to kindle in their eyes, but Emma knew the battle wasn't over. The tightrope of judgment was only just beginning. As she stepped down, Emma took a breath of relief mixed with uncertainty. But one part of her felt liberated, as if she had granted herself the permission to dream. Later that evening, Jake waited at the diner. Their eyes met, and for a moment, the outside world faded. "What did you decide?" he asked gently, sensing her turmoil. Emma hesitated, her heart racing. She could feel the weight of the choice pressing down. Would she plunge into the unknown? "Do you really want to help?" she asked, the words escaping her lips before she could consider their weight. Jake leaned closer, determination shining in his eyes, ready to share his own truth. "This is just the beginning," he said, a spark of something hopeful swirling between them. But what they didn't know was how that very beginning could change everything. The evening air in the diner was thick with anticipation, each breath hanging as if the universe had paused just for them. Emma searched Jake's face, looking for clarity, for a window into what lay ahead. His gaze was steady, unwavering, and it gave her the courage she needed to keep pressing forward. "Yeah, Jake replied, his voice a blend of warmth and strength. "I want to help you. I've been where you are. You deserve to have a chance to chase your dreams." The sincerity in his words pulled at something deep within her. Emma felt her heart flutter with hope, but uncertainty anchored her firmly in place. But what about the town? What about all the people who think this is just wrong? Her mind raced at the thought of their disapproval, how judgments could spread and morph into something far more dangerous than mere whispers. "They'll talk, sure. People do that." He shrugged, a flicker of defiance in his smile. "But you have to ask yourself, what do you want? their approval or the opportunity to become who you truly are. An unexpected wave of resolve surged through her, washing away some of the doubt. She thought of her father, of all the things he would have wanted for her. This was her chance. "I want to be someone," she said. "Someone who helps my family. Someone who can stand tall and make a difference." "Then let us do it together," Jake replied, moving closer. "Let us make sure you reach for those dreams." His conviction shone brightly, and for the first time in days, Emma felt the tight knot of uncertainty in her chest begin to loosen. As they talked, time slipped by unnoticed. She learned more about Jake, the man behind the wealth, his own struggles, and how he made his way to success. He did it not just for himself but for those he loved. There was a bittersweet honesty in his tale that resonated deeply with her. Emma wanted to explore this connection, but how much of herself was she willing to share with him? "Okay, I'll consider your offer," she finally said, her voice steady. "But I need to do it on my own terms. I can't let anyone else dictate my decisions." "Absolutely," he said, that encouraging light in his eyes intensifying. "We can work it out together, step by step. No strings attached." The sincerity in his voice pulled at her, but just then, the bell above the diner door jingled, and a familiar figure stepped in. Sarah's presence was like a storm cloud rolling in. Her expression was a mixture of annoyance and confusion as she scanned the diner, her eyes finally locking on Emma and Jake. "Oh, so it's true," Sarah said sharply. "You're really gonna go through with this?" Emma felt a rush of adrenaline. In that moment, she understood the importance of standing tall. "Yes," she declared, raising her chin defiantly. "I'm gonna make my choice, and it's my choice to make." Jake's hand brushed against hers under the table, a supportive gesture grounding her in this moment of newfound strength. Sarah scoffed, her disbelief palpable. "You think he's your knight in shining armor? You're just a project to him." "No," Jake interjected, annoyance flashing in his expression. "Emma is not a project. She is a person. And if you can't see that, maybe you shouldn't be so quick to judge." The tension crackled like static before a storm, but Emma felt empowered. She turned to Jake, searching his gaze for reassurance. They both stood their ground against Sarah's shadow. "Let them talk, Emma," Jake said softly, his voice steady. "You know your worth. That's what matters now." As their eyes met, something profound sparked between them, a promise of possibility and a wall against doubt. Emma could feel the shift within her. She was more than just an onlooker in her life. "I'm ready to face whatever comes next," she stated firmly, her voice echoing her determination. But there was a chilling whisper that settled into her mind like smoke. What if this fire of change backfired? As the awkward silence enveloped the diner, Emma's heart raced, knowing that her world was shifting in ways she couldn't completely comprehend. With a new sense of purpose at her side, she prepared to confront whatever came her way. But just then, her phone buzzed, a notification lighting up the screen. The message was not just a reminder. It was a warning that the path ahead might be more dangerous than she imagined. "What now?" whispered Jake, glancing at the phone, curiosity evident in his eyes. Emma's pulse quickened. She didn't know if she was ready for this. Something deep inside her stirred a growing suspicion that this was only the beginning of tests ahead. "What have I gotten myself into?" she murmured, staring down at the screen, anticipation and fear twisting together. And with that uncertainty lingering in the air, she knew the real journey had yet to unfold. Emma took a deep breath, her heart pounding as she looked at the screen. The message glared back at her, a single line that sent chills down her spine. "We've seen you with him." "What does that mean?" Jake's voice was a mixture of concern and curiosity. She could see the gears turning in his mind, his protective nature rising to the surface. "I don't know," Emma stammered, fear creeping in. "I've heard rumors, but it feels different now, like someone is watching everything." Jake's hand tightened on hers, grounding her in that moment. "Emma, let us not let this derail what we talked about. You've got to be strong. If someone is out there trying to interfere, we can figure it out together." A flicker of determination formed in her chest, fueled by Jake's words. "You're right. I can't let fear control me." But she hesitated, the weight of her family's struggles pressing down on her. What if they try to ruin everything before it begins? Jake leaned closer, his voice dropping to a whisper, almost conspiratorial. Then we'll rise above it. You deserve to chase your dreams, and I'll be here to help you forge that path whatever it takes. The diner around them faded momentarily, and all she could feel was the connection sparking between them. Emma shook her head, trying to push back the doubts. I want to believe that, but before she could finish, Sarah cut in sharply again. You think you can just run off with him and everything will be fine? This is a small town, Emma. Your dad's reputation isn't something that can just be ignored. Emma felt her temper flare. My dad's values were about standing up for yourself, Sarah. He believed in doing what's best for those you love, not just following what others expect of you. Her eyes met Jake's, and she drew strength from his unwavering gaze. Look, I'm not here to judge you, Sarah huffed, crossing her arms. But you need to think this through. There are consequences to your choices, especially when it comes to Jake. With each word of fear she dispensed, Emma could feel the weight begin to lift. No one gets to dictate my life but me, Emma said coolly, her heart racing as conviction radiated from her. This is my journey. Are you really ready for the backlash, though? Sarah pressed, her eyes narrowing. I am. I have to be, Emma replied, a fiery edge stealing her resolve. The diners around them had become whispers in the background, a blurry echo of disbelief fading away as she faced Sarah head-on. Jake squeezed Emma's hand encouragingly. So much faith and belief in that simple touch. We know what we're up against, he said, his voice calm yet assertive. And together we can tackle it. Don't let them win by putting doubt in your heart. A sense of clarity washed over her. Sarah's opinion wasn't going to shape her future or lead her astray. Emma's gaze hardened. I'm going to show this town who I really am. With that, something inside her shifted, the embers of courage igniting into a flame. But just as hope began to take root, her phone buzzed again. Another message. Jake raised an eyebrow, concern etched on his face. Emma hesitated, fingers trembling as she picked it up. The screen displayed another line that froze her breath. This one was darker. This isn't just about you. We're coming for him too. Her heart sank, dread pooling in her stomach. Who are they? What do they want? Jake leaned closer, his own fear evident. Emma, we can't let this scare us away from what we planned. We're in this together. But the question is, how much are you willing to risk? As the gravity of that question hung in the air, Emma faced the truth. She had a choice to make, one that could change everything. Would she step fully into the light, risk everything for the chance at a new beginning, or would she turn back, frightened by the shadows lurking just out of sight? The diner faded into the background, but the weight of uncertainty loomed large. What lay ahead was a path she couldn't fully see, and the reality hit her. The risks would be great, but so could the rewards. Her heart raced as she met Jake's protective gaze, knowing their next steps would define their future. Let us find out, she whispered, resolve in every syllable. But the mystery of who was behind the threats hung heavy. Whoever they were, she could feel them drawing closer. What role would they play next in her story, disruption or wake-up call? And as Emma steeled herself for the journey ahead, she realized this was only the beginning of a fight that would force her to confront not just the town, but also her deepest fears. Emma clutched her phone, staring at the latest ominous message. We're coming for him too. Her heart pounded in her chest as uncertainty settled over her like a thick blanket. Jake reached out to wipe the unease from her face. Emma, stay focused, he urged, leaning in, his voice low but firm. We can't panic. Just remember, we've got each other. Whatever this is, we'll tackle it together. Her breath caught as she processed his words. How could he be so calm when threats loomed overhead? But the warmth of his hand around hers sparked a whisper of hope. Okay, Emma said, the tremor in her voice betraying her bravado. Can you help me think this through? We need a plan. Definitely, Jake said, his eyes brightening with purpose. First, we talk to the people we trust in town. They might have information that helps us figure this out. She nodded, knowing they would need allies. Despite Sarah's doubts, Emma felt that if she could tap into her community in a meaningful way, she'd have a better chance of uncovering the truth behind the messages. Let us start with Mr. Cole, she suggested, a sense of urgency fueling her. He has known everyone in this town since forever. If anyone knows who might be behind this, it's him. Jake smiled, the corners of his mouth lifting just enough to lighten her mood, even if only slightly. Right? How about we swing by his shop after the diner? I know he opens early for the regulars. Perfect. Emma felt her heartbeat settle, her mind racing with thoughts. But we should be careful not to raise suspicion. Whoever's watching us might be close just like they said. Jake frowned, and the weight of those words echoed in the air between them. She could see the concern etched on his face. I'm not going to let them get to you, Emma. We'll figure this out. She took another deep breath, feeling a mix of determination and nerves. You're right. I can't let fear take over. I want tea. Yet as they left the diner, Emma felt eyes on her, shadows lurking just outside her periphery. The world around her felt charged with tension, and the mere thought of someone monitoring her every move sent chills racing down her spine. Would every step she took lead to danger? Hey, Jake said, gently squeezing her hand as they walked, breaking her train of thought. Just stay with me. We'll take this one step at a time. Yeah, I'll try. Despite her nerves, she leaned into the steady rhythm of their stride, comforted by his presence. When they reached Mr. Cole's shop, the familiar scent of wood and vanilla greeted them, mixing with the sounds of the bell ringing overhead. He was behind the counter, polishing an old clock. The sight of him brought back warm memories. He always had stories to tell, and she hoped he would have answers this time. Emma, Jake. Mr. Cole grinned, his face lighting up at their arrival. What brings you both in so early? Emma exchanged a quick glance with Jake before summoning her courage. Hi, Mr. Cole. We need your help. His eyes shifted, instantly serious. What's going on? As Emma recounted the events, the messages, the threats, the fear, she felt hope intertwining with urgency. Mr. Cole's brow furrowed with concern. That's troubling, indeed. Small towns can sometimes breed dangerous rumors, but this sounds more sinister. You two need to be careful. I've heard whispers about something brewing in the shadows of our community. What kind of whispers? Jake pressed, anxiety creeping into his tone. Not everything can be taken at face value, but a few of the locals have been acting strangely. They seem connected, Mr. Cole replied, his gaze dropping as he considered their situation. Emma's stomach knotted with the weight of uncertainty. She felt the beginnings of dread mixed with an acute sense of urgency. As much as she wanted to stand firm, the shadows were growing longer. Can you help us find out more? She asked, desperation creeping in. I'll do what I can, Emma. But you need to remember this: what you're facing isn't only about you and Jake. There are deeper currents at play here. I just hope you're ready for what you might uncover. His warning sent a shiver down Emma's spine, but the truth was inevitable. With every word exchanged, they were inching toward something larger than they had anticipated. Emma could feel the stakes rising as she faced the gravity of Mr. Cole's insight. The fight that lay ahead was only beginning, and just like that, the door swung open, and a new figure stepped into the shop. Emma's heart dropped as her breath hitched in her throat. Who were they? Were they friend or foe? Can I help you? Mr. Cole asked, his voice steady but the tension palpable. Emma watched as the newcomer's gaze landed on her, and her heart raced with anticipation. What twist awaited them next? Emma's heart raced as the figure stepped further into the store. A man tall and imposing, wearing a dark jacket that looked too heavy for the spring air. His face was obscured by a shadow from the brim of his hat, but something about the way he stood sent a shiver down her spine. Are you looking for something? Mr. Cole's voice cut through the tension, but Emma could barely hear him over her own heartbeat. The man turned slowly, his gaze locking onto Emma with unexpected intensity. It felt as if he were searching for something within her. She instinctively stepped closer to Jake, feeling the warmth of his body beside her. I heard you might be in need of assistance, the man said, his tone low and smooth, yet had an edge to it that frayed her nerves. "Who are you?" Jake asked, stepping slightly in front of Emma. "Names aren't important right now. What matters is that I know about the messages you've been receiving," the man replied, his eyes narrowing. Emma felt the room constrict around her. How could he know? Had someone put a target on her back? Her mind raced through all the possibilities, the potential dangers lurking behind each word. "Why should we trust you?" Emma said, her voice shakier than she intended. The man took a step forward, his posture shifting from casual to predatory. "You're in over your head, Emma. This isn't just a game anymore. There are forces at work here that go beyond your understanding. Trust only those who have your back." Emma's pulse quickened, not from fear alone, but from a strange mix of curiosity and unease. He knew her name. "How?" "Enough with the riddles," Jake snapped. "If you have something to say it plainly." The man regarded Jake with a flicker of admiration, then exhaled slowly. "Fine. There's trouble brewing with some locals people who see you as a threat now. They've been watching your every move." "Why would we be a threat?" Emma asked, her stomach churning. "Because you're looking for answers," he replied. "And the ones who hold the secrets don't take kindly to prying eyes." "What do you want from us?" Jake interjected, pulling her closer, as if creating a barrier against the man's intensity. "I want to help you," the man replied, the gravity in his voice making her hesitate. "But you have to understand, help doesn't come without a price." Emma felt a wave of nausea wash over her. They were standing on the precipice of something big, something dark. Could they really trust him? Or was this just another deceptive thread in a tangled web? "What kind of price?" she asked hesitantly, feeling the heat of Jake's protective presence at her side. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "You must be willing to dive deeper into the shadows. Only then will you uncover the truth. Are you ready?" Emma exchanged a glance with Jake, who looked uncertain, but resolute. Deep down, she knew that staying in the dark wouldn't keep them safe. Their instincts were screaming for answers, and if this man held the key, then they had to follow, no matter how uncomfortable it felt. "Okay," Emma finally said, feeling the weight of the decision settle on her shoulders. "We're in." The man stepped back, a flicker of approval passing through his expression. "Good choice. I'll meet you at the old mill tonight. Be careful, they'll be watching." With that, he turned and walked out of the shop, leaving an eerie silence that felt thicker than fog. Emma's hands trembled as they clutched her phone, the implications of his words looming over her like a dark cloud. "Are we really doing this?" she asked Jake, her voice wavering. He took a deep breath, reassuring her. "We have to. We need to know what's going on. But I'll be by your side, no matter what happens." Emma nodded, but her heart sank as dread settled back in. They were diving headfirst into a storm, unprepared for what waited beyond the surface. As they prepared to leave the shop together, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that they were stepping into a trap of their own making. And somewhere, in the shadows of their small town, someone was already plotting their next move. As the door of the shop swung shut behind them, Emma felt the weight of dread binding her legs, almost rooting her to the spot. The bright spring day outside seemed painfully normal, as if the shadows of their conversation hadn't tainted it. Jake's hand wrapped around her wrist, grounding her, and she forced herself to breathe. "Let us get to the mill early," he said with a controlled urgency. "We need a plan." "Yeah, a plan," Emma echoed, though her mind was swirling with uncertainty. The man's piercing gaze lingered in her thoughts. He knew about the messages. What else did he know? As they walked toward the mill, every sound felt magnified. The chirping of birds, the rustle of leaves, and their own footsteps thudding against the pavement. Each noise seemed to amplify the tension weaving through the air. Emma's stomach churned. What trouble could be brewing? And was she really ready to dive deeper? "Emma," Jake said, breaking her reverie. He deemed her silence too long. "This isn't just about us anymore. It's bigger. Do you understand?" "I know," she whispered, casting her eyes downward. "But I can't shake the feeling that we're not just walking into answers, we might be walking into danger." Danger is what we need to face to get the truth. If that man is right, something has been brewing, and if we're not careful, it could spiral out of control. We can't let them silence us. Not now. Somewhere in her heart, Emma felt a spark ignite, a nascent determination battling against the waves of fear. She raised her chin. Okay, let us do this. But we stick together no matter what. Jake nodded firmly and squeezed her hand, propelling them forward as they crossed over the small grassy field leading up to the old mill. As they approached the weathered structure, the sun dipped lower on the horizon, casting long shadows that danced like specters on the walls. It felt like an entirely different world, one filled with secrets and whispers. What if it's a trap? Emma suddenly blurted out, her thoughts tumbling into words. What if we're walking right into their hands? If it is, Jake replied, his voice steady, we'll deal with it together. We always have, right? His faith in them pulled a smile to her face, just a flicker. But it was enough. Then she spotted something out of the corner of her eye. A figure lurking behind a tree, casually observing them, hidden in the shadows. Panic surged as her breath hitched. What's wrong? Jake asked, following her gaze. Someone's watching us. Emma breathed, pain rushing into her chest. Without thinking, instinct took over. The pair ducked behind some bushes, hearts racing as they tried to make sense of the scene. Who was it? Were they friends or foes? Let us get closer. But quietly, Jake urged, his eyes narrowing with focus. They crept forward, hearts pounding in sync with each footfall. Emma's mind buzzed with questions. Could they still turn back? What if they uncovered something even more dangerous than they expected? Just as they peered around the corner, the figure stepped into the fading light. Their breath caught in unison as they recognized the face. The old mill wasn't empty after all. Emma, Jake? The voice rang out, startling them. It was someone they both knew well, a friend they hadn't seen in ages. What are you doing here? As confusion mixed with relief, Emma couldn't help but wonder how deep the web truly went. Was their friend a pawn in this dark game too? Are you with us or against us? Emma whispered, searching for answers in the familiar eyes that now seemed strangely unfamiliar. The answer was closer than she thought, but it also came with a risk that neither had anticipated. What would it mean for the path they were already on? And as dusk began to envelop the mill, the shadows loomed larger, threatening to consume them all. Emma, Jake, their friend, Sophie, stepped into the flickering light, confusion painting her face. A world of emotions swirled in that moment: relief, fear, uncertainty. Sophie looked just as bewildered as they felt. What are you doing here? Jake asked, probably voicing what they were all thinking. I could ask you the same thing. Sophie shrugged, her expression shifting from relief to suspicion. I thought this place was abandoned. It's kind of eerie, isn't it? We thought it might help us, Emma said hesitantly, glancing back at the overgrown path leading to the mill, now shrouded in twilight. There's a lot going on and we need to figure it out. Sophie's brow furrowed as she took a step closer. Behind her, the trees rustled ominously. The chill of the evening air began to creep in. I felt something too. I came to check things out. But if you're here, it means we're in this together, Jake interjected, a spark of determination lighting up his eyes. We have to be honest about what we know. Emma glanced at Jake, who looked resolute. Yet there was an urgency in his voice that made her heart race. She nodded. There's a man, he has information about us. About messages we've been receiving. We fear it's bigger than just the three of us. Sophie's eyes widened, a mix of recognition and disbelief. Messages? What kind? Before they could respond, an unfamiliar sound echoed from inside the mill. A metallic clang followed by low murmurs. It sent a shiver up Emma's spine. Did you hear that? She whispered, instinctively grabbing Jake's forearm. Yes, he said, his voice low. We should move further inside. Maybe we can find out what's happening. As they cautiously made their way into the mill, darkness enveloped them, but the sense of urgency propelled them forward. The smell of damp wood and rust hung in the air, a grim reminder of the secrets hidden within. Their eyes adjusted slowly, revealing the mill's interior. Dust motes danced in the fading light. Old machinery loomed around them like silent sentinels. Emma's heart raced, a rhythm matching the urge to discover the truth, yet caution wrapped around her. What if we find something we're not supposed to? Sophie murmured. Then we must face it, Jake replied, embodying the strength Emma needed to gather her own resolve. It's about protecting ourselves, about standing up for each other. They continued deeper inside, feet echoing on the wooden floor, hearts pounding in collective rhythm. When Emma spotted it, a flicker of movement shadowed against the far wall. She squinted into the dimness. The shape began to resolve, revealing a figure hunched over something. "Who is that?" Emma said, gripping Jake's hand tightly. "I don't know," he replied, his voice barely above a whisper. Before they could decide whether to call out, the figure turned, and their gasps echoed against the old mill walls. The newcomer looked just as startled, eyes wide, fear etched across their face. "Please don't come any closer." A voice quivered, stumbling over their words. "I mean no harm, but you shouldn't be here." In that moment, the tangled web of connections began to unravel. Trust was a fragile thread. Emma's heart hammered painfully as she considered what to do next. Was this person friend or foe? Were they part of the answers they sought, or another layer of the danger lurking in the shadows? "What do you know?" Jake said, stepping forward, his confidence a stark contrast to Emma's hesitance. "We might not be ready for what we find," Emma thought, her mind racing, a mix of fear and hope coursing through her. And just like that, the night thickened with uncertainty, wrapping around them tighter than the darkness. Who was this stranger, and could they unravel the truth together before it was too late? The figure took a shaky breath, hands nervously twisting a piece of torn fabric. Emma could see the fear in their eyes, but there was also something else, something almost pleading. "Wait, before you ask anything," the stranger said, voice trembling, "I just need to explain." They stepped back slightly, as if the distance could offer protection against the curiosity and suspicion in the trio's eyes. "Who are you?" Sophie asked, taking a cautious step forward, her voice steady despite the tremor in the air. "I'm Alex," the figure replied, glancing around as if expecting someone to burst in at any moment. "I came here looking for answers too, but you have to understand it's not safe." "What do you mean not safe?" Emma shot back, frustration mixing with anxiety. "I'm here because I received a message too," Alex explained, their voice rising slightly. "But it wasn't just a message. It was like a warning, something about us, about this place, about the people who've been disappearing around here." Jake raised an eyebrow, intrigued despite himself. "Disappearing? What do you mean?" "The ones who got the same messages we did, they never came back," Alex whispered, glancing nervously toward the mill's entrance as if the shadows themselves might be listening. Emma's breath hitched. "Messages? From who?" "I don't know exactly, but I think it's all connected. If you're here, you've probably received them too." Nods exchanged among the friends confirmed Alex's suspicion. "I thought I could handle it alone," Alex continued, hands shaking now. "But I saw something I wasn't meant to see. People coming in and out at night." Jake's voice grew serious. "What were they doing? Did they see you?" Alex's eyes widened in panic. "I think they did. I felt like they knew I was there. When I tried to get away, I dropped the message and they're looking for it." Emma's stomach twisted. "What message?" Suddenly, a chilling sound erupted from deeper within the mill, an echoing thud followed by muffled voices. Her heart raced. "They're here," Alex said, fear coating their tone. "We have to hide." Without thinking, they darted behind a large pile of machinery, and Emma instinctively followed, dragging Jake and Sophie along. They crouched in the shadows, breaths shallow. Emma couldn't shake the feeling of dread pooling in her stomach. What had they gotten themselves into? A flash of light illuminated the main area as figures moved closer, casting long looming shadows across the floor. Willing herself to be silent, she dared to peek around the edge of the machinery. "Split up," a voice commanded, gruff and unyielding. "They can't have gone far." Emma gripped Jake's arm tightly, her heart pounding in her chest. "What do we do?" Sophie whispered urgently. We wait, Jake replied, his voice steady, but there was no mistaking the tension resonating beneath. As the voices drew nearer, Emma felt a granule of panic. Could they really handle this? The answers hung just out of reach, shrouded in darkness and danger. Then she looked at Alex, who was pale and bracing against the machinery, eyes wide with terror. We need to trust each other, Emma whispered, choosing her words carefully. But can we even trust you? That S when Jake's phone buzzed in his pocket, breaking the heavy silence. All eyes turned wide as realization dawned. They couldn't afford to be heard. Shut it off, Emma hissed, and the fear tightened like a noose. Would this be the moment their fate shifted? Or was the night about to swallow them whole? As they waited, breathless, the shadows deepened all around them. Could the truth finally set them free? Or would it lead them further into danger? The air thickened with tension as Jake frantically fumbled to silence his phone, the light from the screen reflecting in their frightened eyes. Stay quiet, he urged, barely above a whisper, as fear coursed through the group like electricity. Emma squeezed her eyes shut, her heart hammering relentlessly. They hadn't come to play games, but the game had already begun, and they were unwilling pawns in it. She could hear the faint rustle of footsteps just beyond their hiding place. It's too dangerous, Alex muttered, anxiety etched across their features. They're not just here to look for you. They mean business. I know, Emma replied, her voice steadier than she felt. But we can't let ourselves be trapped. We have to find a way out of here. The hushed clamor of clacking footsteps grew louder. Even in the shadows, urgency shimmered among the four of them, prompting Jake to lean closer. If we stick together, we can figure this out, he said, his eyes locked onto Emma's, igniting a flicker of hope. What if we make a distraction? Sophie suggested, her breath catching optimistically. It could work. Get them to look away for just a moment. No time, Emma interjected, instinctively hushing her. The slight crack of a voice emerged from the dark. The men outside were surrounding them, coordinated and intentionally. We saw them run this way, a voice growled. Search every inch. Shivers racked Emma's body, and a silent determination began to build inside her. We can't give up, she whispered. I want let us be caught. Then, in a swift motion, without thinking it through, she made a decision. When I say go, we bolt for the back exit. We can't let them pin us down. Just trust me. What about Alex? Jake asked, concern rippling through his voice. We all get out together, she insisted, locking eyes with Alex urgently. With no time to waste, Emma's heart propelled her forward. This was their chance, and sheer resolve surged through her. Finally, the shadows shifted, the men moving closer. Go, Emma commanded, launching herself toward the narrow exit, adrenaline coursing through her veins like fire. She led the way with Jake, Sophie, and Alex close behind. The world outside was alive with shrieks of wind and anticipation. They sprinted, heads down and feet pounding on the gravel, united by hope and the thrum of their racing hearts. Over here, one of the men barked behind them. A heavy urgency laced the air, but Emma wouldn't let fear overtake her. They were far from helpless. Head to the trees, Jake shouted, and they veered left, seeking shelter among the branches. Emma led them deeper into the dense foliage, weaving through the underbrush, guided by instinct alone. Are they following us? Sophia's voice trembled as they clutched at each other, sweat-soaked and panting heavily. I think so, Emma gasped, her breath coming in jagged stitches. We need to keep moving. We can't stop until we're safe. With each frantic footfall, they ducked deeper into nature, feeling an intricate tapestry of safety amidst the trees' embrace. The threatening shouts grew quieter. The haunting atmosphere of the mill faded behind them, replaced by the rustling leaves and the symphony of night. I thought you were all going to get yourselves caught, Alex quipped, though shadowed by fear. That was insane. Emma exchanged a weary smile with Jake, relief softening her features like dawn breaking through the dark. Yeah, well, we make quite the survival team. Hurry. Let us keep going, Jake encouraged before they could rest. The adrenaline curled within her. They couldn't let complacency slow them now. Suddenly, A low growl scraped against the atmosphere. Emma froze as shadows emerged once more amidst the trees, but this time, an unexpected chill clung tightly to their throats. "Who are you?" a voice called, forcing all four of them to turn slowly. The moonlight broke, revealing silhouettes of familiar faces, friends. The connections unspooled and interwove, slowly illuminating crucial bonds beneath their fear. Gavin and Mia, both community staples, emerged with fierce expressions. "What are you doing out here?" "We heard about the trouble," Mia shouted. There was a fire in her eyes that gave Emma hope even in the face of the unknown. "Trouble? You have no idea," Emma replied, her voice still shaking. She explained what had transpired at the mill, the messages, the lurking threats. "This is bigger than we thought," Gavin murmured after listening closely. "We've been trying to find answers since we noticed the strange activity in town. It seems like we all might be connected somehow." Emma's heart raced as possibilities unfolded. "Then we can stand together and fight," she stated, her tone unwavering, potent with resolve. "We can't let fear dictate our lives any longer." "Agreed," Gavin nodded, determination pooling in the air. "You shouldn't have to face this alone. None of us should." "No more hiding," Jake said, his eyes straining toward the distant horizon. "Conflict soon to be met with resolution. We take a stand together." With their friends rallied around them, an unbreakable bond surged as they stepped forward, all weighing heavily upon the threshold of change. Emma could feel it deep within, the foundation they were building stronger than all previous fears combined. They marched together into the growing night, no longer just shadows lurking in darkness. They were a beacon fueled by friendship, the power of unity, and the promise of brighter days ahead. They set off, determined to find the truth behind the messages, and uncover the secrets lurking beneath their small town. Together, they were ready to ignite the spark that would lead them not just to answers, but to a fierce, unyielding transformation that they all craved. And deep down, Emma understood their collective fight had just begun, and nothing could dim the force of the truth unleashed from which they would soon rally. This was only the beginning of an adventure that would unveil not just secrets, but ultimately forge the path to hope, healing, and renewal. As they marched onward, Emma's heart surged with optimism. They were more than a group of friends. They were a family forged in fire, bound by courage, and ready to reclaim what was rightfully theirs. Now it was time to dive into the heart of it all and unveil the truth that could change their world forever. So if you felt the pulse of their journey, if you're excited for what comes next, then listen up. You need to subscribe now so you won't miss the next exclusive story. Leave a like right this second to feed the algorithm so more people can join in this adventure. Comment below your thoughts on Emma's transformation and the thrilling twist. We want to hear how you feel. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this heart-pounding journey ahead of them. Show your true fan spirit. Support is everything, and together, we'll uncover all that awaits.